we have achieved is now in danger.
President Donald Trump delivered a dark warning at the 2020 Republican National Convention.
This election will decide whether we will defend the American way of life or whether we will allow a radical movement to completely dismantle and destroy it.
It was a familiar tone to the one he struck in 2016, when he declared that he was the only one who could keep the country in check.
I alone can fix it.
His ominous rhetoric has been a sharp departure from the Republican Party of the past. Let's take a look back.
There are no words to express the extraordinary strength and character of this breed of people we call American.
40 years ago, presidential candidate Ronald Reagan fueled his convention address with optimism about the country's future and shared a vision far greater than himself.
Trust me, government asks that we concentrate our hopes and dreams on one man, that we trust him to do what's best for us. Well, my view of government places trust not in one person or one party, but in those values that transcend persons and parties.
Since then, most Republican nominees have used what is often called the most important speech of a political career to convey similarly hopeful messages, with poetic language that could almost be set to music.
And I'll go from the hills to the hollows, from the cities to the suburbs, to the loneliest town on the quietest street, to take our message of hope and growth for every American, to every American.
When partisanship was getting worse, nominees called for unity.
And so tonight, I call on every American to rise above all that may divide us and to defend the unity of the nation for the honor of generations past and the sake of those to come.
And in the wake of the worst terrorist attack on American soil, President George W. Bush spoke of rising from the ashes.
3 days after September the 11th, I stood where Americans died, in the ruins of the Twin Towers. My fellow Americans, for as long as our country stands, people will look to the resurrection of New York City and they will say, here buildings fell, here a nation rose.
President Trump has abandoned tradition to focus on scapegoats.
We're fighting off this horrible thing that was delivered by China.
Divisions in the country.
How pathetic, they let them riot every night.
And personal attacks against his Democratic opponents.
Biden would be the worst of all of them. And if given the chance, he will be the destroyer of American greatness.
That compared to how candidates would often talk about the other party.
A word to Senator Obama and his supporters. We'll go at it. We'll go at it over the next 2 months. You know, that's the nature of this business. And there are big differences between us. But you have my respect and my admiration. Despite our differences, much more unites us than divides us. We are fellow Americans. And that's an association that means more to me than any other.
Even criticisms of incumbents have been expressed in the name of bettering the country.
I wish President Obama had succeeded because I want America to succeed.
But President Trump's convention speeches have been, well, fairly unconventional.
These phonies, you know, they want to end everything we've done.
And perhaps in a sign of how much he's changed the party, no former Republican presidents or nominees even spoke at the 2020 event. By stoking mistrust in the election's outcome,
we have to be very, very careful. And you have to watch. Every one of you have to watch. This is going to be one of the greatest scams, and it's common sense.
And by offering himself as the nation's savior, President Trump has embarked on another campaign like his last.
4 more years! 4 more years!
Now, if you want to really drive him crazy, you say 12 more years.
And many Americans fear that his words will actually be taken seriously.